Hey guys, in today's video, we will learn how we can do data import in SharePoint using Power Automate Desktop. So stay tuned. Hey everyone, I'm Deepak Srivastav. Welcome to my channel. If you work on SharePoint, then you may have encountered previously, or maybe as of now, that you got lots of data that someone asked you to import to the SharePoint. And what we do, we go to the SharePoint, click on new item, and start typing until we import or create all those different line items that we have received. So this video is all about how we can save our time and automate that manual work using Power Automate Desktop. Okay, so let's talk about the scenario. So let's say I have this financial data SharePoint list. Okay, and I receive the financial data from different country every month. The data can be 10 rows to 1000 rows. Okay, and my task is to come to this list, get the data from Excel, and update this list with that new data. Now you might be thinking that I can create a Power Automate flow, read the Excel file, and create list item here. But there is a catch. The Excel file that I am receiving doesn't have any table inbuilt. And what I mean by that, so for an example, this is the Excel that I received from different country. If you notice here, this data is not formatted as a table. And if you are using Power Automate Flow or the Cloud Flow, that's the number one requirement. The data should be in a table. Okay, so then I have two options. Either I need to go to each file, format the data into the table, and then use the Power Automate Cloud Flow. But then another limit that I will encounter is number of rows that I can process using Cloud Flow, because there is a limit for that. So to avoid all of those limitations, what I have done, I created a Power Automate Desktop flow. And what that flow does, it pick up this file. It doesn't require any table formatting. It pick up this file, find all of this data, going to open the SharePoint as I'm opening it, and gonna enter entire information for me. Okay, so I have this cloud flow that I have created, and this cloud flow is going to trigger my Power Automate Desktop flow. And I will show you how you can do that as well. So for now, I'm gonna just say play. This flow is going to open that Excel file, open the SharePoint, and create those items while you are watching. As you can see, the Excel has opened. Now the SharePoint site is going to open, and it's gonna do like I'm working on it, but I'm actually not doing anything right now. So if I'm going to have a lot and lots of items, what I can do, I can use a Power Automate Desktop flow like this and let it run, and I can enjoy my time doing some other work that is more important, or take a coffee break. It's going to create all the items, provide all the information, reading from Excel, and creating the SharePoint list item. And once done, it's going to close the browser and close the Excel. Okay, and if I go back to my list here, and if I do filter, as you can see, these 5 records just created a minute ago. Awesome, right? Now the question is what and where we can start. Okay, so first thing that you need for this, of course, you need the Power Automate Desktop. If you don't know the Power Automate Desktop, it's an RPA solution of Power Automate. So we have Power Automate Cloud Flow that you are seeing right now, flow.microsoft.com. Then we have a desktop version of that you can use to create an RPA. If you have already been upgraded to Windows 11, the Power Automate Desktop is built-in app. So you don't need to install anything. When you have your new installation there, if you search like you normally do in your browser, you can search for Power Automate Desktop. If you are not yet Windows 11, then what you can do, you can go to the flow.microsoft.com, and from here you can click on Power Automate Desktop. So install Power Automate Desktop. It will open up the window. It's the regular installation of any tool. Okay, then it will also ask you to install on-prem gateway. Okay, so let's hope that you already install it. So we're gonna move it and open the Power Automate Desktop. Once you open the Power Automate Desktop, it will look like this. You can have all the flow that you have created. I have created some RPA here. You can see anything that is shared with you, or you can start creating a new flow. Okay, so we are going to create a new flow. You need to give the name, click create. It will open another window that is more like an editor window of Power Automate Desktop. Okay, once you come to this screen, as you can see here, this screen has lots and lots of actions on the left hand side. What it means that you can automate all of this using Power Automate Desktop. You have some options like you can create variables, you can create conditions, loops, you can apply weight on your process, and then you can keep opening these different bucket of actions that you can perform using RPA. Like system, you can run an application that is running on your desktop. You can integrate with the file system. Web application, like you can automate the repetitive work that generally people do on web application, like extracting the data from the web, or opening and providing or inputting the data to the web. What we are going to do today, so I have created this simple SharePoint list, and what I have created in this list, I have created some different type of column. So multi-line text column, a number column, a date column, a choice column. And the reason I created column like this, because I like to show you how you can automate data entry on these type of columns using Power Automate Desktop. Let's go back to the Power Automate Desktop designer that we have opened up. This is our designer. Now to start automating, the first thing that you need to understand what you are automating. In our case, we are trying to automate data entry to the SharePoint. SharePoint is a web, right? So we need to automate the web. So what we will do, we will go to the web automation. You can manually enter all of these steps that we generally took to enter data into the SharePoint list. For example, opening the browser, clicking on the new item, and then entering each information that required for that list. Or if you don't want to type that manual, what you can do, you can see the web recorder on the top. So click on the web recorder, wait for some time, you will get this message, right? If you are not getting this message, or even if you are getting this message, and after you select the browser that you want, click next. And after you click next, if you get a message like the Power Automate extension has not been installed to this browser, go ahead and install that, because that is required for Power Automate Desktop to record the actions that you are doing. And how you know that you have the extension, you can see in the browser something like what I'm seeing on the top. Once you click next and you have the extension installed, you should be seeing this web recorder window. Okay, it has two options, record, reset, and it is saying launch browser, and there is a link. And you can see that link is for this particular Microsoft site. But we are not going to record the Microsoft site. Instead, we're going to record entry on here. The first tip that I like to give it to you. Do not try to record the step. Those are not going to be very repetitive in the nature. So for example, I can start from the top side, and then I can go to the site content and then go to this list. That I don't want to record because I know the direct URL where I want to end up. So try to minimize those. It will be easier for you to manage this Power Automate flow in the long run. Okay, so we are at this screen. I have not yet clicked on the record. Remember that, right? Now, once you at the screen and you can see your URL updated here, click on the record. Once you do that, then you start seeing this red box coming around different area of this screen. This is what the Power Automate Desktop trying to understand where you are going to click. Okay, so I'm gonna go to this new, click there. If you look at the left hand side, it actually recorded that I clicked on one of the UI element. Then I'm gonna start typing how I'm generally create a SharePoint list item. And if you look at the left hand side, things what I'm doing on the web, it automatically getting recorded. Okay, so I recorded one entry. Okay, once you're done, click finish. Okay, you can see all of the steps that we took already listed here. Before we do anything, let's run it and see if our steps are actually recorded correctly or not. Click run. It's gonna just replicate what we just did. It's gonna open the browser, right? It's gonna click on the new, and start typing how I did the typing. Few things you might have noticed. The first thing, the date has not been updated. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to copy this populate text field on a web page. This is for that number field. Control C and Control V. Okay, so what I did, I just paste the same information again. Okay, now double click on this newly pasted action here, and it will open this window saying the browser instance UI element. Click on that UI element, click on add UI element, because what we are going to do now, we are going to manually pick that date field where we want to pass the date. Okay, once you do that, you will get a window like this. Do not do anything right now, just click on the new. So what we want this date field to be populated. So I'm gonna press Control and left mouse click, and you see here on the top. So our field has been selected. Click done. If you notice in this area, your text field has been selected, and if you notice here, this is actually giving you a graphical presentation what you have selected. Click select, and then what we're going to do, we know this is a date field, so it should have a date format. So I'm going to say 10, that's the October. Click save. Now you notice here, this has been changed. We are saying that update the text field, update the datetime text field with the date. Let's run again and see what happened this time, whether it works or not. So you notice it went there, it selected that, but it has done nothing. I'm going to just copy paste the same information again where I'm updating the date. You can also do one thing. You can go to this web, and it is saying hover mouse over element, and I'm going to move it here just before when we are passing the date into the text field, and I'm going to select the same date field that we have selected in UI element. Okay, now let's run it. If you notice now, it actually copied the date, and here we go. Your date has been updated. Okay, so this is the one of the trick that you can try if you are trying to automate that entry the data with the date. So that part is just to record the step to create an item. What we want to read the Excel, and based on the rows in the Excel, we want to update the SharePoint list. Okay, so in this flow, before we even open the browser, I want to open that Excel, right? We need to open that Excel and start reading that. So under the Excel connector, you have an action called launch Excel. Okay, I'm going to drag that before we are opening the browser. Okay, now it's going to ask some questions with the blank document or open the following document. I'm going to say open the following document because we know which file we are going to open. And I'm going to copy the path of the file that I like to open. As you can see here, this is the path of my C drive. Now this path can be C drive, your OneDrive, and even SharePoint document library. Okay, so you can pass all those three options here. Then we have some options. Make instance visible. If you want to that Excel to be displayed, we're going to keep it open. Make as read only. This is going to make sure that when you open this file, it open as read only. And some advanced option if you have your Excel is password protected. Click save. Now what this step is going to do, it's going to just launch that Excel. Okay, so that's the step one. After we launch the Excel, and let me open that Excel file so we can see what in that Excel. Okay, so this is the data that we have. Now in our Power Automate desktop, what I want to do, I need to get this information and loop through this information so I can create an item for each of this row. Okay, so I'll go back to this desktop here, Power Automate desktop. The first thing that I need to know is the range, right? Because Excel can have empty row and empty column. I want to exclude, so I need to know my data range and how I can do that. If you go into this action, there is an action called get first free column row from the active worksheet. I'm going to drag that after we launch the Excel. Then I'm going to use called read from Excel. Retrieve the value of a single cell value from a range of cells, value from a selection, all available values from the worksheet. I'm going to use the second option. Okay, now it is saying give me the start column. My Excel is starting from the column 1, so my start column is 1. And then it is saying the start row. I'm going to say start row is 1 because my data is starting from the first row. Then we have the end column, and this is where we can use our last action that we use. So first free column, that's going to give you the first free column. It will give you a number -1. So if I have 5 column, the first free column will be 6. If I remove -1, it's going to give me the 5. Same, I'll go with the first free row, and I will say -1. Okay, and once you click on the advanced, first line of a range contain column names, select that yes. If you have the header in your Excel data, if you are not getting any header, you can keep it off. Okay, so the output of this action is going to be your Excel data. Now what I need to do, I need to loop through each and every row that I'm getting here in this Excel data. So for that, if you look at the loops here, there is an option called for each. I'm going to drag that. Then it is saying for each of what? If you open this Excel data, so I'm saying loop through this Excel data. So if I am getting 5 row, this loop will go 5 times. Okay, now for each column that we have in Excel, and we have a column in the SharePoint list, I'm going to extract that information and keep it in a variable. Okay, so scroll all the way up under variable. We have an option called set variable. I'm going to just move that in between this loop here. Okay, now it will be, the name of the variable is title, and this will be the current item bracket 0. Okay, this is going to give me the first column of my Excel, this one. Okay, because current item, if you notice from this is going to be current item in each loop. And then I'm saying give me the first or 0th column, that is test 2. Okay, click save. So this will be the title, and now I'm going to repeat that for each column that we have. Okay, so we have 5 columns, and I'm going to update each column with the correct name so it is easy to read. There is another way to extract the column or the row information. Instead of passing the index number of that column, you can actually use single quote and pass the column name also. Okay, it depends. If you know the column name ahead, you can do that. Okay, so we got our variable set up. Now what we need to do for each item, we need to repeat these steps, right? Because these are the steps that we are using to create the SharePoint list item. So what you can do, there is another good practice. You see here it's calling Subflow. Click there, and I'm going to create a new Subflow. I will call it create item. Click save. So in Power Automate Desktop, you can have your main flow, and then you can create multiple subflow that you can call from your main flow. And then I'm going to select all of these action, cut, and then I will go to my current item and paste it here. Perfect. Okay, and then from this main flow, I'm going to call my subflow. And if I search for run, it's saying run a subflow. I'm going to drag and drop this action here. It will show me the available subflow that I have. Click save. Perfect, right? But as you notice here, we have these hard-coded values. We need to change them. So click on each action, and where you see this text, click on this X, and now you can see all of those variables. So I'm going to pass title here. So this is going to be title. If you select the next one, click on this X. Perfect. Now, once we've done everything, what we need to do, we have opened the browser and we also open the Excel. So we're going to close the browser and close the Excel. Very important. So if I go to search and search for close. Okay, so we have closed web browser. I'm going to select that. It should automatically select my browser instance. And after that, I'm going to close the Excel as well. Now let's run it and see every step happening in the real time. Excel open. Then it should open the browser. Browser has opened. Now it is going through each item. It went through. It should call the Subflow, and now you notice here this is actually reading the data from the Excel and providing that information into our form. It's creating all those different line items, going through each, and it's going to loop through all 5 items, create all of them. So our flow is working as expected, as you can see, right? Once this is done, you have multiple options how you can run this flow. The first option is how we are doing it right now, correct? So you got your Excel file, you move that file to the location that you picked up, and you run your flow from Power Automate desktop. Now let's say you want to trigger this Power Automate from the cloud flow. Okay, so for that, what you need to do, make sure that you save your flow. Okay, and we are going to log into flow.microsoft.com. Click on a create flow. Now you can select your applicable trigger. I'm going to just do instant for this demo. When you click on the news tab, and if you search for desktop, you have the desktop flow. This is how you can trigger a desktop flow from the cloud flow. It's a premium connector, so you need the premium license to do that. So you have 3 options: run flow built in Power Automate desktop. That's what we just did. Once you select that, you may get a message calling about the gateway. So you just need to install the gateway. And once you install the gateway, you need to select and use the right gateway to connect. Once you have that installed, under desktop flow, you can see all the different flow that you have created. This is the flow that we have just created. Then we have 2 options, attended or unattended, and I'm going to test. So now what we are trying to do, instead of running the Power Automate desktop flow manually from the Power Automate desktop, we are triggering it from the cloud flow. Everything is going to be very same what we did. It's going to open an Excel file, opening the SharePoint, and start creating those SharePoint items. So as you can see, right, it's doing the same thing. It's open the Excel, it's going to open the SharePoint and go through the cycle of repetitive work that you might be spending hours doing it. Yeah, so that's it. This is how straightforward and easy to use Power Automate desktop to create these repetitive manual work easy for you, and you can save time to do something more important. I hope this will help you. Thanks for watching. Keep learning, keep watching. Thank you.